So tell me, how comfortable are you with somebody cloning your voice and calling your spouse at 2 a.m. asking urgently for thousands of dollars to protect your children? Or with an AI-generated deepfake video so convincing that it's your boss who just approved the wire transfer that you just sent out, except moments later you learn that it wasn't her on that Teams and Zoom call on video with you. This isn't science fiction. It's reality happening right now. And if you're thinking that'll never happen to me, well, let's just say our guest knows better. Today we're joined by Dr. Sergio Sanchez, who's seen a lot and shares his experience on leadership, cybercrime, and breaking into technology from the field of medicine. He's not just any cybersecurity expert. He's a former leader at Apple, a trusted advisor to the Vatican, and even protected Activision gaming pipelines back in the day. When did I mention he's a medical doctor too? Today we're going deep into leadership, what makes great leadership and what makes, well, not great leadership. We dive deep into social engineering and the latest breaking news on AI-powered attacks targeting your identity, your savings, and most importantly, your family. Think of this as the ultimate survival guide, from deep fakes and voice scams to identity theft tactics so slick you won't see them coming. Stay tuned because curiosity is free, but getting attacked can cost you your life savings. This is Cybercrime Junkies, and now the show. Catch us on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn, and dive deeper at cybercrimejunkies.com. Don't just watch, be the type of person that fights back. This is Cybercrime Junkies, and now the show. All right. Well, welcome, everybody. I am David Morrow, Vice President here at NetGain Technologies, and we have an excellent podcast episode for you today. We are meeting with Dr. Sergio Sanchez, head of IT over at Coleman Health Services in Ohio. A great career, lots of experience in leadership, overcoming some challenges, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your story and you sharing your experiences with us. Dr. Sanchez, welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you for the opportunity. I am so glad I can be here with all of you, and I'm ready to tell you a little bit of my life.
Well, that's phenomenal. So let's start at the beginning. So when you were first born, no, I'm just teasing. Like, what got you into the field that you're in at first? Like, what brought you into, because you've had numerous roles of, chief information officer, IT director, IT managers. Like, what got you into the field in the beginning?
Well, let me tell you a little bit of my story here. I was around 13, 14 years old. And one day I had to go with my father to his office. My father was an architect. And I think I was bored out of my mind waiting for him. To the point that actually his assistant looked my face and says, "Hey, are you bored?" I says, "Yeah." "Okay, come with me. Let me show you something that we just got for the office." So she bring me to this place in front of a very weird, typing machine with keys that were, extra in a normal keyboard.
Right.
For, a typewriting. In front of a TV, which was amber colored and has Apple icon. So she told me, "Look, we just got this for the office. It's an Apple IIe device." I'm telling you now my age.
Wow, the Apple II.
IIe, yeah, and came with some games.
Oh my God.
I show you how to play the games. Meanwhile, you're waiting for your father.
Right.
Perfect. That was love at the first sight, or love at the first keyboard touch.
Yeah.
I fell in love with that computer. To me, it was like getting into a different world.
Yeah, it was like a window to a different world, isn't it? Like you were
Absolutely.
able to, and even back then, I mean, they were pretty rudimentary. Like, because I got started back then, and like it wasn't that exciting in the beginning with the black screens and the green lettering and the prompting and all this stuff, but it was always amazing how much you can make it do, right? Like you could get it to do things that you couldn't get it done anywhere else. And so
absolutely. And with that in mind, every allowance that I was getting, I was just saving it to try to get a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it took me several years to get money enough to buy a Commodore 16.
Oh.
Not the 64, the 16.
The 16, which is before the Commodore 64, which I believe every guest started on. So the Commodore 16 is even the precursor to that. Wow.
A precursor of that was, this company that later on they created another one called Amiga.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I fell in love with computers. And at that time, was basically the beginning also of what people was able to do. We're talking about in the middle of the 1980s.
Right.
And I started learning myself how to make games. Basically, today you have a new game released every month. At that time was every 3 years.
It's very rare.
To have it. So I start to learn basic. From there, this is interesting. Let me see something else. Fortran, Pascal. I'm telling you, very old computer languages. But my real career, my real love for things was medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to school to become a medical doctor. I am a certified general surgeon by the University of Mexico. Past, I played with computers during that time, but not really as often as I used to do it before. One time, going in vacation, I met this American woman, which I fell in love with, and decided to move to the United States. So after a year, back and forth, New York City, Mexico City, etc., I decided to move to the United States and try to continue practicing my medical career. Also surprised to get my license here to prescribe drugs or to do surgery.
Yeah, it's different, right?
I have to go back to school.
Yeah, because they don't, those credits, you'd think those credits would apply and then maybe have to go through some testing or something, but they don't really give a lot of like equal credit transfer.
Exactly. So with a broken heart and with a kid coming in his way, I have to get something higher than just be a medical assistant.
Right.
Talking about living in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
So I took the opportunity to go to Columbia University. At that moment, they were opening a new program in computer science.
Oh, very cool.
They accepted me in the program. I became basically master in computer science by Columbia. And from there, everything was related to computers.
And you never went back. You never went back and said, I really want to practice medicine.
Correct. And in some ways, some of my jobs here in America was a combination, actually.
Yeah, you've always been involved in healthcare IT and compliance since I've known you. So
yes, absolutely. Right. So my point was, maybe I cannot help the patient directly.
Right.
While helping the people that help the patients.
Yeah.
So in some indirect way, I'm helping those people to get healthier.
Yeah, and you're part of the community. You're part of the medical community. You're part of the culture there at the healthcare organization. So you're still very passionate about that, which is phenomenal.
So the thing is, I try to understand, different worlds. I think I'm very good translating information. I can translate all this technical jargon that we have in the geek world.
Yep.
To normal, everyday talking with people.
Yeah, that's really what is lacking, right? That when you really think of the void, why certain initiatives, why organizations don't do what they're supposed to do or don't improve their technology or their cybersecurity, a lot of it is because they don't know. Like a lot of it to me is it just hasn't been translated well enough, right? They just kind of... they don't measure it right, or they just kind of say, well, you never know. We're, like a street light, red, green, yellow. We're kind of yellow right now. Well, as a business owner, like how do we invest in yellow? Like, I don't know what
That-
yellow means, right? Like, we need to understand the practical impact. And so that the translation that you're talking about is fantastic.
This is interesting because just like you see, people has the fear of things that they don't know.
Right.
And sometimes at this moment, if you use the internet for information, sometimes now you doubt that information. What is real? What is not? When you are putting your health, your money, your life, depending on that information, of course you are scared. You are in fear of making a mistake or that somebody, made you spend money or resources that you don't need to.
Right.
Also, like I was telling you before, sometimes we are exactly at the age that we are at the border. We're in the line, all of technology and new technologies. And that cross is scary. I can just imagine, by example, in the beginning of the last century, in the 1900s, when you are passing people to travel in a train, to now getting this thing that fly, and go that place. So I bet there's a lot of people that no, I don't want to fly. This thing is going to fall down.
Right.
Today, the people flying are bigger amount than the people using a train.
Right. Exactly right. Yeah, the
Because
adoption, it's
the
taken a
people
while. It's taken a while on the adoption scale, right? It kind of took a while before that early majority and later majority really took over. But then that's when the market really changes.
Absolutely.
Well, and right now where we sit is so different. Like in our trajectory, we saw the internet and everything get connected, right? And we saw Y2K and the areas of, like, was it programmed right? Will everything break? And there was a ton of money spent on getting everybody ready for Y2K, and then it just happened and everything was fine. And so the whole world was like, what was that all about? Wow, that was like, there was more news articles and everything about that, and it was nothing.
Well, at that time, actually, like I tell you, I was living in Manhattan, and just like in the movies, was people in the streets, with sign that says the end is near. And
yeah, the end is near. Like the computer's not gonna, it's not gonna go from 99 to 2000. It's gonna just wipe itself. The whole planes will. I remember people like they had like professionals online talking. Planes will be falling out of the sky. It'll be Armageddon. I'm like, who is this guy? What is he talking about? Like, you've got to be kidding me. That's so funny.
At that time, I was also going to Colombia, but also working like I tell you, medical assistant. And I remember in the hospital I was working for, everybody was like, "Oh my God, all the devices." Even devices that at that time wasn't even connected.
I know. Well, that's the whole thing. And you and I have talked about this. I mean, when you think about it, 15, 20 years ago, we really had a separation between the digital and the physical worlds that we were in. We had computers at the hospital, computers at the office, and they were helping. We were able to put things in, right? We were scanning the paper documents, getting them into the servers. But the truth is if the computers didn't work one day, right, for whatever reason, could have been a cyber attack, could have just been a glitch, could have been an internet issue, whatever it is, we were fine, right? We still had, it wasn't even that we still had the paper, but we had all the processes. We had all the ability to conduct business and render healthcare, etc., in the physical world. And now in the last 5-10 years, it's not that way, is it? Like, everything is digitized. Everything is on a tablet. Everything sits on a server. And we've not only digitized all that data, but the processes are gone, right? Like, when things go down now, we don't have the ability, most times, to be able to still do things. And there's a much greater impact now when things go south.
Well, think about this, and this is something that probably a lot of people live of our age. You go to the supermarket, and the moment that you just swipe your credit card.
Right.
I'm talking about the beginning. And if for some reason the system didn't work, Do you remember that they have
Yeah.
like a tray? That
Yeah, you would
put
go
the
like
card
that,
watch
and you would go
movie?
like that, and go right out. You can't even do that with today's credit cards.
No, the
They're
credit cards
flat.
are not indented
Right, they're not
anymore.
even
Are
indented.
flat completely.
Yeah.
So that is how now we are pushed also to have something digital, no matter what.
That's exactly right. That's a good example. So in your role, talk to us about experiences in leadership that you've had and what you feel makes a good leader and some challenges that you've seen.
So I start, like I tell you, basically in the bottom. My first job was with a tobacco company, Philip Morris, in Manhattan,
Yep.
where basically I was just doing websites and analysis of websites.
Were you
Slowly,
trying to convince us to keep smoking? Was that it?
and also that was the fastest and weirdest job interview I have in my life.
Really?
I went for the interview, prepared with, coding, my folder full of information. And the lady in human resources told me, do you care if people smoke in front of you? And I told her, no, my grandmother used to
Yeah,
smoke
we
like a
grew.
trucker.
I know, and a lot of younger people won't understand this, but we grew up with that. I grew up
Yes.
with people smoking at the table, like it was weird. Like now, I can't even imagine it. But growing up, that was pretty normal. It's odd.
So I tell her, no, I don't have any problem with people smoking in front of me.
Yeah.
It's okay, can you start Monday?
Did you start? That was it. That's the
That
litmus
was it.
test.
And later on, I discovered that at that time was Bill Clinton administration request that tobacco companies had a department for youth smoking prevention.
Oh, okay.
So try to make kids smoke, which to me was a joke because basically you are in a company with thousands of people working to sell you cigarettes, and then you have a group of 5 kids try to make websites, try to stop you to smoke
Right.
cigarettes. So,
Exactly.
so 11 came. My wife was working in the World Trade Center. My kid, the morning of September 11th, my kid was in the nursery school in building number 5. Things,
You're kidding. Oh my gosh.
yes. So they were 15 minutes late. Actually, the second airplane passed over her head. She used to work in the 42nd floor of the South
Oh
Tower.
my gosh.
Yes. But I cannot tell you because I will take another 4
Yeah.
episodes here. So we decided to move out of New York City. And at that time, my in-laws lived in upstate New York, Saratoga Springs.
Right.
So I started to look for a job over there. Was this in the news advertising says new video game company opening in Albany, New York, and we need an IT guy. So again, another weird interview. I went for the interview, show my papers, show my experience at that moment, and the lady, which become almost kind of my mother here in America for human resources, says, "Perfect. Can you start Monday?"
What is the deal? You have like the best interview luck ever. Like that's fantastic.
Yes, perfect. Yes, I will start. And the next question was, can you bring your computer? Because we don't have computers at this moment, It's like, you know what? I need a job. I will start. Yes, of course. So I start working for a studio called Vicarious Visions, which I was number 25 at that time.
Wow.
And we got so big that by 2005, Activision Blizzard, the biggest video
Of
game
course.
company in the world,
Activision is huge.
acquired the studio.
Wow.
And I was with them for 16 years.
Wow.
And he, from scratch, basically, like I tell you, was just a starting company. I started actually by 2 amazing guys, Guha and Kartik Bawa, in the basement of their mom and dad. And I had to put computers together, like pieces from all computers.
Especially for the
Server,
gaming
the-
development, they need the graphics cards. They need the like massive compute, right? Oh yeah.
And so I got experience in software, in hardware, dealing with vendors, and I started to grow up until become a manager of the place, even that I created the own site. Sadly, 16 years later, another bigger company came to cover Bungie, and all the upper echelon, the people would say, well, thank you very much for coming.
Exactly.
And at that time, because I was in charge to get the hardware from Apple, was the beginning of putting games in smartphones. I became very good friend of people basically in Apple. They knew that I was laid off. They offered me a job, and I become I hate the title. It's the weirdest title, but I was the senior lead genius
For
of
Apple. Wow.
So my mother was right.
That's
With that in mind, work for them, etc. I got divorced 2004, didn't work. But then I met a woman here in Ohio.
That brought you over to the Midwest.
Online. So that's why I moved here. I got a job where we met before, CHF, being the director of IT for that company. Later on, I actually worked for the Pope, for the Vatican, for the Franciscan friars here in the United States.
So you've been a medical doctor, you've worked for the Pope, and you've worked for Apple, right? Like those are all individual, lifelong things. Like that's several lives all rolled in one. Wow.
And now here in Coleman Services. The thing that I learned in my life, being in a profession where I am, is if you are happy with your boss, if your supervisor, your manager,
the direct report,
make you happy and make you succeed, your work will be higher quality.
I agree. And we hear that a lot, that people don't leave organizations. They really just leave their manager sometimes. Right. And there is, I mean, no wives' tale or urban myth or cliche applies to everybody, clearly. Right. But there are some things that I've seen that in my life. Like I've worked at really good organizations, but had a bad manager and couldn't stay there. Right. Or worked for an organization that, boy, a lot of people are complaining, but I've got a great manager and I'm really happy, right? So you stay. It's really, there is some strong truth to that phrase, for sure.
It is. I don't think it's enough money in the world for a long period of time that will pay you going to work when normally, oh my goodness, I have a meeting with that.
Exactly. Or Sunday night when you dread Monday. Like if that's the case, you have to reassess. You really have to reassess because it goes by too quick. Like the entire, your spin around this globe, right? We have so many spins and it goes by fast. And so you really have to find leaders that will support you, right?
Absolutely. And we are all humans. We are all basically spending more time with your coworkers than with your family in a lot of cases. Where you notice that if you are unhappy in your place of work, the quality of your job, the quality of what you do,
your output will be better, right? Your ability to volunteer, to do various projects and things, all of that goes up when you feel appreciated. That's a really good point. I always, I've got kids and they're entering the workforce and they ask a lot and a lot of questions, which is great. But one of the things they're always saying is like when one employer isn't working out, I always try and let them know, like, just because one place doesn't see your value doesn't mean the value's not there. Like, I know I'm biased because I'm their dad, but like I see the potential, I see the skills, I see the effort, I see that. I'm like, you just got to find the right place where they'll provide a safe place for you so that you can keep doing that. Because what you're doing is good, right? It's just a matter of doing it at a place that recognizes it.
Absolutely. Also that goes against the company.
Right.
Because I have in my past managers that basically, just like you said, you have a wonderful employee, a great person that is a genius in what he does or she does, and last 2, 3, 4 months because the boss is asking things that it's impossible to attach in that time. I think sadly a lot of people in the past has this kind of bosses where the boss doesn't even know exactly what he's asking.
Right. They just.
And in our world, in our technology world, in the past, I know bosses that told me, we need to make a program for tomorrow night for determine how many people is using our, software.
Right.
It's like for tomorrow night.
And you're like, that is a 9-month to 3-year project. Shall we gather a committee to talk about it? Right. It's not something you can whip up in a day.
The problem is because they don't have the experience themselves of what take to do something. And sadly, we see that more and more sometimes with new people coming to create businesses.
Yeah.
That, like I will put a restaurant. I have the money to make a restaurant, but I don't know how to cook.
Right.
But I want to be, the best restaurant in here.
Right. Or how to manage third-party supply chain. Right, but I want to own a restaurant. Yeah, exactly. But you're like, but you have to understand all those. So what is it, what have you found when you've had, or you've been managing a team? Because when I first met you, I know you were managing a team. When you're managing a team, what do you find is a real effective way of being a positive leader, but then also getting them to get stuff done? Because there's a fine balance, right? Because everybody wants to be everybody's friend. But if you're too, because I've managed that way in the past for some cases, and they never get stuff done. I'm too nice, and then I realize, okay, we gotta change some things here because I can't be your buddy. I have to also lead, and we got to get this stuff done in a timely way, as directed, etc. And so then it becomes a matter of communication, cadence, check-ins, right? Measuring the metrics.
So the thing that is important for me is to choose the correct people that also they are nice, but they are expert in what they claim they are. And I noticed that if you are a person that entices them as much as possible, and you have the opportunity to tell them every time that something goes well, how great they are. In a psychological way, they don't want to let you down.
Right.
One of the things that you notice, and this is, with my own kids too, is when they disappoint you, they feel terrible. They feel really bad. And they try not to disappoint you, which go farther instead of like a...
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of like, because then they tend to make the effort with blood, sweat, and tears, and not just for the paycheck. Right?
Yes, exactly. Like, what else I can do to show my boss, to show my father, to show my mother, whoever person is the overseeing of what you're doing, how I can make them feel that I am good at the point that they says I am good. So that sometimes, work better that, screaming at them or tell them that you're going to be fired.
I think you're spot on too, personally. I mean, that my experience has shown me that too, because when you lead by kind of almost recognizing what matters to them, like some people, you'd be surprised, like some people even in like the business development role or the sales role, they're not even motivated by money sometimes, believe it or not. Like they are motivated by achievement. They're motivated by competition. They're motivated by like setting goals, and then doing that. And the more you ask what motivates them and find out, then we're able to identify a path for them. Like, oh, well, this one I have to coach a little differently than this one, right? Because you want to highlight when they're doing things right to get to their ultimate goal. You want to highlight that. You want to celebrate that, right? Because then it gets them all pumped up and gets them excited about it.
Well, think about this. We have the experience of COVID, where a lot of people move from working in an office
to working remote.
Go back and work at home. And the last report I was checking was telling me that at that moment, the productivity of a lot of companies increased. And you're talking about people that didn't have the boss over the shoulder. that they were doing basically what they need to do at that moment. One of the good things working for Activision and for Apple was
that's right. Wait, hang on. You worked for Activision too, so you got to work for Activision, the Pope, and Apple. So and a medical doctor. So that's pretty cool.
So one of the things that was great is if you want to go in your pajamas to work, you was able to do it. Actually, you want to be in the office barefoot. What they were looking for was mostly for results. Like if you had, and I remember every morning was a very fast meeting, just like in rugby. I forgot the name, how they call it. When they get together, but very fast, very easy approach to what you have to do today. And if the developer or the artist or the designer accomplished that job in 1 hour, they couldn't go home without any problem. Like, okay, you really set up everything that you need to do today.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, because people work at different speeds, and when they're able to focus uninterrupted, I mean, to me, it seems almost like a matter of integrity, right? Like because when people work from home, it's kind of like when they're at the office and they have doors, right? And they're not in a cubicle, right? They work behind that door. Like, you don't know what they're doing. No leader really knows what they're doing. Like, they could be on the phone with their sister. Like, I don't know. Like, and frankly, who cares? So long as the stuff is getting done, it's getting done timely. And when you do meet, they're bringing value to those meetings. They're demonstrating leadership. Like, that's what matters. That's what drives an organization forward. It's not being monitoring them every hour to see that they're doing it, because then they're only going to do it when there's so much fear there. Then they're only going to work enough not to get fired. They don't care about the mission. They're not loyal to you. Like, it really changes the intent behind their activity.
Well, you have the famous slogan that says, "Look busy, Jesus is..."
Right, exactly. Look.
This is the idea of the boss. Okay, like you are watching something now, YouTube or something like that, and the keyboard used to have a boss key. Remember that you press that and it's like a spreadsheet.
It pulls up a spreadsheet. You're like, hell yeah, here I am. I'm doing this. Meanwhile, you're like, so how are the Cubs doing today? And you're like really talking to them about the game.
Right. Exactly. So, and again, if you give me results, if you give me what I needed at the moment that I needed, or you give that to the company, the rest of your day, you can go do whatever you want.
Exactly. And if he gets stuck, and I think one of the things that is really key is being able to explain to somebody that reports into you that when they get stuck, to raise their hand early, that it's a safe place, because you'd rather the moment they get stuck, them come to you and you resolve it, so that way they're unstuck, right? Like you want that. You don't want them to feel apprehension or anxiety or feel like they're failing just because they're getting stuck. Because if they're going to deliver the whole trajectory of things, there's going to be obstacles, right? It's going to happen in every project. So just, raising your hand early is really key.
My second approach to everybody that is in my team is my job, my real job, no matter what company I'm working for. My job is to make your life easier. I don't want to complicate your life. I want to make it easy. What can I do to make you succeed? You need, and I'm going to put you an example. I need a third-party company to give administration access for the back end of our BI developer here.
So you would call us, and we'll come in, and no, I'm just teasing you.
That would be great. So let me tell you, he came and says, "Hey, I have now 2 weeks waiting for this." So basically, okay, who is the owner of that company? Who is the main guy?
Exactly. You
can take
you go over the top. You go over the top, and you help resolve that so that your team member is in there waiting for 2 weeks. Yeah, that's exactly right.
which, wasting resources is wasting money, and we are just waiting for somebody to create an account that take 5 minutes. So that is,
Yeah,
what I'm
it's so
looking
true.
for.
I mean, I had, in my experience, when I was first moved to Indianapolis, I was taking over this managing director role, and the CEO of the national company came in town and spent a few days with me and only showed me one slide. There's only one slide, and it was an upside down triangle. And it said all the people at the top are the ones closest to the customers. And every leader below it, he said, we may have egos and think we're more important, but we don't exist without them. And our job is each layer is there to support the one above it. And it's absolutely true. It was like the most truthful, very Simon Sinek-esque, right? Like it was very much like the teachings of Simon Sinek, but it was very truthful. It was very practical, because when you realize you've got to alleviate obstacles for the people that report into you, when you've got to make that call to that third-party vendor, right, to clear that up, to get things going faster, that's what you're doing, right? Your job is to support those people because they are the closest ones to it. Yeah,
Correct.
that's absolutely phenomenal. That's great.
That's the way to do it again. I have experiences in Apple, people is screaming to the technicians, and really the technicians were, like, please don't scream at me, etc., etc. And you discover that the person coming to the store upset because the phone or the computer was not working correctly. They don't even know that the cause of the problem was the way that they were using the phone or they were using the computer. I remember somebody that passed over his phone in the parking lot with the car.
Oh my.
And he got the piece of the phone in a zip bag, and he want a replacement. Like, hey, my phone, I just bought the phone, I want a replacement. We cannot give you a replacement.
Yeah, you just ran over your phone.
And again, the people don't understand that. It's situations that even are funny. I have a guy coming to one of the Apple stores with one of the first phones, iPhone 7, that was waterproof. And he came with the phone in a bag and dripping water. So the funny part here is the most interesting and curious episode in Apple. The guy shows the phone, and the phone has a hole in the glass.
Really?
And the guy was high. You can smell it. So the guy said that he went to the bathroom, sit down, and in the moment they sit down, he hit with the head the wall. And a picture or something fell. So he decided to climb in the toilet, grab the nail, and hammer
with the phone.
With the phone. So he hammered and he hit the phone. The phone flipped and falls in the toilet.
What?
And he came claiming that the phone wasn't working because it has water, and we claimed that was waterproof.
Wow. So that's a challenge. Yeah, that's a direct consumer challenge. Hey, let me ask you, when you were working at Apple, and what years was that? Was that when Steve Jobs was still there, or was it under the Tim Cook?
He was sick. He is still alive, but he was not working for. I have to tell you, working for Apple was amazing, was great. But you can notice a little bit the OCD of Steve Jobs everywhere. The lights, the angle of the products, the distance.
It really was all him. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a group called the Visual Group that used to come every morning before the stores open and check with a meter, a ruler, the distance between the angles. And then in the middle of the day, around 12, 1 o'clock, they came back again.
Really?
To re-put everything together. And then one more time before closing.
It makes an impact, though, doesn't it? When you think of industrial psychology or commercial psychology, right? Like, you always think of the lighting, the angle of the device, because when I've known several people that have worked for Apple, and Like when you go into the Apple stores, you think it's like, oh, it's just the retail store of it. I'm like, oh no, it is an experiment where they have orchestrated and choreographed everything from the moment you walk in to the moment you receive it to when you see it on the desk to the angle that it has in relation to the lights above. They've thought about and researched all of it. Like,
you don't have the furniture, the disposition of the furniture, the spaces in between the tables, all that.
There's a design for all of it. There's reasoning behind all of it. It's remarkable. I mean, it's why people stand in line for their devices, right? When the iPod came out, people were in line for 3 days in the rain to get the iPod, right? Just to be first. Meanwhile, the Microsoft Zune was there and was better. It was better built, better designed, everything else, and nobody freaking bought it, right? 'Cause nobody had the Zune. Nobody even knows what that is, probably, right today, right?
I have to tell you, I met a guy that every time a new iPhone was released, that day he was getting three. One to use, one to keep, and one to sell in eBay.
Absolutely.
Like that.
Isn't that amazing? It's something about because they don't communicate. Again, it gets to that communication, right? They don't communicate about the features and the benefits of the technology. They talk about with the iPod, it was always you can walk around with 100 songs in your pocket. Everybody can relate to that. Everybody wanted that because we were used to having to buy full albums for one song, right? And then it's at home, and you're like, I just want that one song, and I want these 2 songs from that album. I want this one, and you want to be able to walk around with it. And they recognize that, and they just spoke in plain, simple language about you'll be able to walk around with 1,000 songs that you pick in your pocket. Like, who didn't want that at the time? Everybody wanted it. So it's really, really remarkable how they communicate. How they communicate.
And now, actually, today was their conference.
The new features.
Yes, and it's coming very heavy with AI, which also that is going to change, well, not only the face of technology in general, but also the workforce, how we will be working.
Well, let me ask you this. When it comes to AI, so let's talk about it because a lot of people are trying it. A lot of people are trying Gen AI. Not that many people are trying Agentic yet. They're not like creating their own bots. A lot of tech people are, but a lot of individual users are just trying out AI because they're used to Googling things. And when they search things and they realize how to prompt AI, it's much easier than Googling something, right? You Google something and you get the blue links, and then you have to go and click on every single one. A lot of them are vendor driven, right? So it's kind of biased. And then you have to click on it, and then you have to kind of figure out what the answer is yourself. Well, now with AI, you ask the question, it gives you the answer. Now, there might be links there too if you want to go deeper, but in general, you're just getting your answer, and you're able to prompt it back and forth and then generate images from it, whatever you want. How do you see it affecting? Let's talk about healthcare for the first part. How are you seeing AI being rolled out in healthcare, and what are the pros, cons, risks?
Well, let me tell you something that I tell everybody that asks me, like a doctor, about AI. When you go to the doctor, you are hoping that that doctor was the best in his class, that knows all the subjects, that has experience with the problem that you're having, and you are one of thousands that he or she sees.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's very fair. For me, I'm just looking for a doctor that's not smoking Marlboro Reds right now. Like, I just want, like, this doc, can you just not be, like, smoking in front of me? That's good. You're my doctor. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So you are expecting all those things from your doctor. Sadly, I'm talking about in the entire planet, not only United States, but how often people get misdiagnoses because the doctor has a bad idea of the problem, or never saw the issue, or is looking for something that he's already has a the idea that
or driven by drug manufacturers, right? And so and so they're like, well, this scenario I might be able to prescribe that drug because and so there's that kind of bias or kind of right.
Exactly. So what will happen if with AI now you have the chance to put all
the history, prior diagnosis, everything.
I'm talking about these things, the Greeks and the Romans and all that, and not only United States, but all the planet, doctors from China, from Japan, from Mexico, from France, England, all of them in one place. Now also, what about if you fed this AI with X-rays and MRIs, and you compare, well, this is a normal one, this is an abnormal one, and this is abnormal because this, and this. So now you have an AI, let's call it an agent, that probably when you fit that device with all the symptoms that the patient has, now the probability that be certain in the diagnosis is greater. And that would be great for me from the medical point of view, because now I can, with a higher level of certainty, determine the problem and take better care of that patient. The problem there is always, what about if you fed the
data? If you poison the data or just fed it with inaccurate or insufficient data up front.
So that is what we need to see and check. And also, okay, how secure is this information?
Well, yeah, that to me is where it all, to me, that's where the risk is, right? Because we've had instances where attackers have gotten in, and they're always undetected when they get in. Like, people don't have the right systems generally. And what they've been able to do, there was one case recently where an attacker got in and found all the organization's passwords on a sheet on SharePoint. It was even called passwords. Why? I don't know, but they did that. Now, the good thing is that it was encrypted, so the attacker couldn't use it. But what the attacker did is use the organization's internal AI and said, hey, I need to access these systems for an internal meeting. Can you please unlock this document, unencrypt it, and print it out in plain text? And the AI did it. It was Copilot. Yeah, and
I saw that
Copilot did. And Copilot did what it's designed to do, right? The risk, it wasn't the AI's fault. It's not that it was designed wrong or it's a faulty AI. No, it was excellent, and it did exactly what it was programmed to do. The risk was they logged in by stealing somebody's credentials. Somebody had reused passwords, had done or been socially engineered. And with that now, they were inside and they were that person. So AI assumed they were an employee. It had been verified that they were the employee. And so there was nothing wrong with the AI doing that. But you see where that's a risk now, too, because now you can ask the internal organization, where's the gold? Like, rather than me risking getting caught and being in here for months, I can work faster now by using your AI and saying, where's the gold? Like, where are all the W-2s? What folder are where's the intellectual property? And go get it, find it, and exfiltrate it, right?
Yeah. And again, all these movies or TV shows where you see a hacker, dark room with multiple monitors typing.
That is not a hacker. Is not a kid in a hoodie in his mom's basement cracking code, drinking Red Bull. Like, they are literally buying access. It's just organized crime. They look more like The Sopranos now than they do like a hacker movie. Really.
Actually, it's an interesting movie. It's a recent movie, action movie, that is called The Beekeeper, where actually is this conglomerate of, I will call it scammers, that you see them in
like a regular office space. Oh, yeah.
With a manager walking, and they are basically criminals. And they steal the plot, basically, they steal the information of a lady and the money, and you have the main actor go and save the day. But the interesting thing is, this is not, like you said, it's a kid working with a hoodie in the bedroom of mom and dad.
Well, and they don't even
no
have to be that highly technical because the malware and the code is already done. They just buy it, right? It's just a service. They buy the service. They split the profits of what they'll steal with the designer of the code, and then they go.
Yeah, the famous kitty hackers.
That's exactly right.
But with the inclusion of AI, things are going to be harder for people. And they need to basically don't trust what you hear or what you see anymore.
You just have to verify it, right? We always mention that. When you see something on social media, I've got elderly relatives. They come to me all the time. They're like, "Can you believe this person said it?" I'm like, "They didn't say it. Hang on." And I'll check it, and it's like, "See, they didn't say that." And they're like, "Well, what? It's right here. It looks official." And I'm like, "Because anybody can do that now. Like, if I want to get people thinking the way I want to think, I could just create the image, put it out there, and people start believing it, and then they forward it, and then that gets forwarded, and the thing goes viral, and you're like, "Oi, I just made that up."
Well, a very fast anecdote to tell you. My aunt lives in Spain, and every time that she sees something in YouTube, she's addicted to YouTube. I have a question from her. "Oh, look what they are saying about COVID," and of course I see the video. And the video is this person with a white coat and a stethoscope.
So must know what they're doing.
And like, no, aunt, you got in the trick.
Now, AI's got some in healthcare. I was on a panel for HIMSS for some healthcare leaders, and there were some AI companies there, and they were talking about how it is helping with the day-to-day processes. When you think of all the notes that physicians see so many people today compared to the way it is, right? They see so many, and they have all these notes periodically, and they're working nights and weekends to update those notes, and sometimes it could be inaccurate. But by leveraging AI, they're able to record it. I mean, you see it in business, in Teams meetings and Zoom calls. You can have the transcript, and then it can summarize things. And that similar thing, there's a lot of AI aspects that are being used. So there, I think it could be very helpful. Now the issue is going to be getting consent to use it from the patient, right? And then, like you said, where's that data kept? Meaning, if it goes down and you lose access to it, where are those servers? Because if they are sitting over in the Ukraine or in Russia or in Middle East, maybe not the most compliant use, right? It might not be the most compliant use. But if it's sitting here in San Antonio and it's in Texas and the servers are sitting here, then it seems like it would be compliant. Right.
Yes, more control, closer for you to be sure that everything is under regulation. This is interesting. Actually, before our meeting, you and mine, I have a talk with a company that is providing AI for the doctors, the therapists, the nurses, for the reports. The main complaint of, again, the doctors is the time that they spend writing, the reports, that they spend more time doing that than with the patient. So let's try to help them with that. Yes, security, number one. The most valuable commodity in the world today is not gold,
it's time,
or oil, or silver, or if I get data, I get everything else.
Yeah, 100%, because data is, I thought you were going to say time, because the physician's time is the most valuable. But you're absolutely right, the data, because with the data, you can predict future purchases, you can predict future illnesses. Like you can draw things more than just buying it, right? Like
I can stop the
that's fantastic. Well, Dr. Sanchez, thank you so much for your time today. Tell us a little bit about Coleman Health Services and what all you guys provide. We'll have links in our show notes on them.
Yes, Coleman Health Services is mostly dedicated to people with mental health problems. We try to help several locations in Ohio. We are trying to see if it's possibility to expand to neighboring states and mostly put our patients first. And actually, we call them.
Yeah, no, and we've actually met because that's my old stomping grounds. But I've known people that have been affiliated with Coleman or received treatment, families and friends that have received treatment through Coleman, and just all good reviews. Like people have a very positive experience. So it's just really good work what you guys are doing. So that's fantastic. Well, this won't be our last conversation because you and I know each other, so we will talk again. But I want to thank you for your time today. Like, it's a remarkable. Any one of your lives could have been an entire episode. Like, we could have just talked about Apple. We could have just talked about Activision because my kids would have loved me to dive deeper into that. You know, working for the Pope, we didn't even touch on that. We'll have to get that later. But really, really interesting things. We really appreciate your time, and thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, Dave. I'm so happy again that you give me the opportunity to be here. And anytime, I am here.
Well, thank you, Dr. Sergio Sanchez with Coleman Health Services. Thank you so much, sir.